Welcome, everyone. It's that special time of the week again. It's time for another installment of Cape TV, where I, your beloved Cape Joel, and my co host,
Matt,
take
the unbeloved Matt.
the unbeloved Matt. Well, hey, you know what, Matt? That's not for me to say. That's for the comment section to say. And you know what, Matt? Here's the thing. Since we moved the show over here, you do actually have a very strong fan base. There are some people who are really into you and what you do, so good on you, man.
I know I've noticed since we've been over there, I've been getting people that were originally on there coming over to my channel now as well. So it's really cool to see them all kind of moving around and everything.
It's what it's all about, man. You know, you're more than my co-host. You're my super friend. And we're going to talk about that this week on the show, everybody. Fucking segues. I'm feeling it. It's going to be one of those episodes. So, yes, everybody, we got a whole list of big shows to talk about this week, at least one big finale, and some more stuff. So, you know, let's not even waste any more time. Let's just hop right on into it. Starting off the week, as it often does, was Supergirl, Season 2, Episode 16, Star-Crossed, and because he's the biggest Superman fan I know, I'm going to let Matt take the wheel on this one.
This was quote unquote part one of the Flash crossover, but it was much like the big crossover, the big four show crossover that they had, where it happened at the last 2 seconds of the show.
That's unfortunate that they do that to Supergirl. If you're gonna have Supergirl be part of the crossover, let her be part.
Yeah. This episode saw Kara meet Mon-El's parents,
right,
who have come to Earth and are played by Kevin Sorbo and Terry Hatcher.
What casting! I would have loved to have been in the room when it's Melissa Bonet, right, or Bonet, who plays Supergirl.
Yeah, Benoit or Bennett. I'm not sure how they say it.
I don't know either. I would have loved to have been in the room when she met Hercules for the first time there, because I know they differ radically on their politics. I can only imagine that would have been a really awkward situation. Let me ask you this. Does Supergirl hate the King of Daxam in the show?
Oh boy.
So maybe it was perfect casting. Maybe that was the ultimate stunt casting.
It is perfect casting because Kryptonians and Daxamites hate each other anyway, because Kryptonians are seen as crappy, I guess dirty people to the Daxamites. The Daxamites are all kind of snooty and everything, whereas the Kryptonians see them as like party animals and
really,
you know, and everything. And this episode dealt with some of that because all through the season, Mon-El hasn't been truthful with Kara because she doesn't know that he's the Prince of Daxam.
Right, and that plays in quite heavily in the Flash one as well.
And she finally finds out because his parents arrive and everything, and we learned a little bit more about his escape from Daxam. So we go back in time to see Daxam and everything being bombed by Krypton when Krypton blew up. All the meteor shards rained down on Daxam, and we learned that his aide, Mon-El's aide, actually killed the Kryptonian diplomat to use his ship to get off planet, and that's why he arrived at National City in a Kryptonian pod.
So that's why he had everyone fooled there for a little bit in the beginning.
Yeah, now, and the thing that I absolutely hate, is they actually call him Mon-El. Like, that is his actual name. Like, even his parents call him that, which makes no damn sense, because Mon-El was a name that he was given to by Superboy in the comics.
Yeah.
Before that, he was called Largand, and it doesn't make any sense either, because he's called that, but his parents are called, like, their comic counterpart names, which I think is... Yeah, I think his dad's like Kelgand or something. So it doesn't make any sense in like that. And originally I thought like maybe they were going to play as like, oh, when he woke up, he saw like the House of L symbol and knew what it was and kind of panicked.
Yoink.
And said, oh, my name's Mon-El. Yeah, my name's Mon-El, and kind of panicked and all that. But they never did any of that. And that would have been a really, really good explanation, but they never did that.
Maybe they'll do that one down the line. I guess if Mon-El is from current day modern times, does that defeat or rule out the possibility of the Legion of Superheroes?
Not really. They could definitely appear, and maybe he ends up going to the future or something.
Right.
We still don't know what the hell's going to go on at the end of this season and everything, so
That
it's
that would
definitely possible.
that would work actually if he left with the Legion for the future, because then they'd be doing a take on the old. Well, yeah, Superboy actually spent a bunch of time with the Legion. Only now it's it's Mon-El filling the role of Superboy essentially.
Yeah, but I could see them do that, and I think it'd be pretty cool.
Because the way I heard it, or the way I heard it through the grapevine, through the campfire, around there in the back alleys where all the best comic book TV show rumors are had, scrolled on urinal walls. Apparently, someone at the Warner Brothers and at the CW is very excited about the possibility of Legion of Superheroes and what could be done with them.
Yeah, well, the show teases it already. Like they have a Legion ring in Superman's Fortress of Solitude.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been teasing it. Like, every time we kind of go there, we kind of get a glimpse of it. So yeah.
Now, does this episode end with the setup of Music Meister, which takes us into Flash?
That I think that was last week's episode. This one either takes place before or after. It's really difficult to like get a continuity of these two shows.
That's why I was asking, because it seemed like the timeline was a little messed up. The timeline of events.
Yeah. I don't know why they didn't do the Music Meister the same week that Supergirl episode aired.
Right.
It was really weird.
Maybe they meant to, but then they shuffled it around.
Yeah, maybe.
Here's a question too. Good episode. Did you like this episode overall?
I did like it. It looked really nice as well. We got some really cool special effects with Kara fighting the Daxamite ship and everything, and it was a lot more character driven than a lot of episodes. Not a lot of action actually happened.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's ironically, I feel very much the same way of the next episode we're going to be talking about, which dovetails quite nicely. It's the actual crossover part of this big, much-touted musical crossover, and that's The Flash, Season 3, Episode 17, Duet.
Yeah, this was a really fun episode.
It really was, man. I had a smile from ear to ear from the beginning, and I didn't stop until the very end. In fact, I liked this episode so much, it actually addressed problems I had in the previous episode. Mainly like, oh god, Wally's gone to pieces again. Oh wait, that's addressed here in a good way. Oh man, they got Iris and Barry together just to break them up again. Oh wait, that got addressed here.
Yeah, this episode was all about that, and same with like Mon-El and Kara as well.
You think like, oh, it's a musical episode, it's probably going to be like a funny one-off, it's probably going to be a throwaway episode you don't have to watch. No, actually, there's a lot of very important things that happen in this episode.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, like, this one really took me by surprise. Like here's the thing, I'll mention this right up front. I love musicals, Matt. I love musicals probably more than any heterosexual man should admit to liking musicals. And I was super hyped to hear they were doing this, especially because, as you know, the cast of these CW shows have some amazing singers in them, and they all get to show off in this episode.
Yeah, they've got some Glee alums. I know Melissa Benoit was on Glee. Grant Gustin was on Glee. We got Victor Garber, who plays Martin Stein, gets to sing.
Who he sang last episode in Legend, so you knew he had chops. And even Jesse L. Martin, who plays Joe West, he was in fucking Rent.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, some serious chops on these guys. Even Doctor Who alum Malcolm Merlin, they got him singing up a storm in this too.
Yeah, I can just imagine because he's like an Arrow character. So when you see him, you're like, why the hell is he in this? And I can just imagine John Barrowman just begging Greg Berlanti to put him in this show.
Please, I want to show I'm a triple threat. I can sing, I can dance, and I can act. I guess to the story for those people who needed it, the Music Meister escapes from the Supergirl show, shows up in Central City, whammies, and I like they even use the word whammies, Supergirl and Flash, sending them to a dreamscape where everything is like a 1940s musical, and the longer they're in this world, the more the Meister is able to actually siphon off their powers.
Yeah, so he's looking to siphon off their powers to do all sorts of stuff. But what I liked is that they changed obviously his origin and who he is, and he's kind of like Mr. Mixel Spitlick in a way. He's kind of like this other dimensional being.
In fact, they even go as far as for Supergirl to say, "Man, I'm really sick of magical a-holes," basically.
Yeah.
Here's the thing too, like to straight up spoil the ending. Meister was ultimately not a villain at the end. They say that he's basically an angel or a god and he came to help everybody.
Yeah, yeah, and his intentions weren't bad at all. He just wanted to help Kara and Mon-El and Iris and Barry,
Yeah.
and he ended up succeeding.
He even helped the other characters with their problems too, because obviously, well, Supergirl and Flash are in their dream sequence. Martian Manhunter, Vibe, and Kid Flash have to go out and try and stop Music Meister, and they have a hell of a fight together. And I'm like, man, this is some straight up Justice League shit, getting to watch everyone use their different powers.
That was a cool fight. And I liked just before they started that fight how John was like, "I'm gonna go stop him," and Cisco's like, "Yeah, we need someone with powers and everything," and he just changes into Martian Manhunter.
They're like, oh, we didn't know you were a Martian. Okay, that changes everything. Now, the thing too, I mean, we should obviously talk about the musical aspect of this musical episode. I didn't know when they were going into this if it was going to be a jukebox musical wherein they use existing songs, if they were going to write just a bunch of original songs. They kind of did a bit of both, and I liked that.
Yeah, yeah. Some of the songs were actually really cool. That they're like original stuff, or like their original takes on them were really cool.
When they open up and Supergirl is singing Andy Williams' Moon River, I'm like, okay, you already got me, because there's like a standard everyone knows, and it's a very pretty song, and that gets you in. And then they start singing, think of your fellow man, lend them a helping hand. Again, just like, okay, here's another song everyone knows the words to.
It was great. It was such a good episode.
And to get to see the musical versions of all the characters, like Cisco is the barman, I'm gonna get out of here one day, I tells ya.
Yeah, and we had Win as the piano player,
Great.
and oh, it was amazing.
What is it? Merlin is a gangster. Of course he would be a gangster. Joe and Stein are both gangsters, and also gay dads. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. The good thing about it is that they didn't make it in your face either, which sometimes they will do. They're just like, yeah, we're gay. What of it?
Yeah, that's even their line. It's like, dads, yeah, I got a problem with that. No, not at all. But I think like the big takeaway from this, and the one that I'm definitely still humming even right now, is the one original song they did. And the title is so perfect. It's Super Friend.
Yeah, yep.
Be my super friend. So wonderfully sums up the relationship between the Flash and Supergirl in this universe, where it's like, yeah, they are friends, aren't they? They're really, really good friends. And it's kind of amazing on television, even in real life too, to be like, wow, here's a man and a woman in a relationship together that is completely platonic and non-sexual and anything, and they just get along and they understand each other. And it's funny, even in my own head, I'm like, huh, here's another female actress that Grant Gustin has more chemistry with than the actress who plays Iris.
It's true. Their chemistry is great, and it's even better because their heroes would be pretty much best friends as well.
Oh, yeah. They get along so good, and I love this, and I'm sure you'll appreciate this too, because this week we got like the new trailer and the new posters and everything for the Snyderverse Justice League movie, and as with everything, it's very dark and serious and monochromatic, and meanwhile you pay attention and see what they're doing on TV right now this week, and it's like, I'm your super friend, you're my super friend. I'm like, wow, there could not be a bigger canyon between these two.
Yep. There's a really, really big canyon.
Yeah, one fully embracing, grim and grit and, reality and take us seriously. And the other one's like, hey, magical golden age musical where everyone learns a lesson and love is really important, everybody.
Yeah, hey, we're based on comic books.
Yeah, for real, man. Just so, I really liked this episode. I don't think I'm, whistling Dixie when I say this is probably one of the best episodes they've done this season.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
I think furthermore to that, and some people are going to be like, oh, Joel, you're going over the top now. But no, I mean it. I think this episode will actually, when we look back on the history of this CW DC comic book universe that they're doing, I think this one is a big highlight of it. I think that's right up there with legacy heroes, sidekicks, alternate universes, and Gorilla City of stuff where it's like, wow, you actually did it. You were actually be like, hey, we can use these characters for more than just punching each other.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be hard to top. The only thing is, I hope they don't take this and say, oh, people really like that, so let's make a musical crossover every year as well
Yeah.
as the actual crossovers. I hope they don't do that.
Yeah, that's my worry too, because this is so good and so genuine. It's like, you know what? Leave it at this. Because you're absolutely right, man. I could see them doing that. Be like, oh, we need to make this a tradition. We need to do a new musical episode every year. No, you don't. You did it really good the first time. Feel free to leave it at just this one.
Yeah, you could probably get away with one more maybe in a couple of years, but not straight away.
If you got a really good pitch, and I would say almost even like don't do it for Flash, like move it to Legends or one of the other shows and have a musical episode out of that.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. And don't do another 1940s one. You would have to update it and do it like another time period.
Do it like a 50s like greaser.
Yes, do Grease. Yes, that's what you do. Or hey, you can do Legends and you can go all the way back to Jesus times and you can do like Jesus Christ Superstar.
No, remember they can't go back to Jesus, remember?
No, that's right. And that's a fucking another amazing segue, Matt, to Legends of Tomorrow Season 2, Episode 21, Fellowship of the Spear, wherein they not only meet J.R. Tolkien, yeah, it's Tolkien, not Tolkien. I've called him Tolkien forever, only to be like, no, it's Tolkien. And I'm like, yeah, I guess that is the proper way to say it. But tomato, tomato, I'm going to say it the wrong way. And you can't stop me, Legends. They finally got the entire Spear of Destiny together, only to be like, oh, how are we going to destroy this? Oh, well, we need blood of Jesus to destroy it. And somehow the trail for the blood of Jesus takes them to the guy who wrote Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Man, was that a stretch to get there.
Yeah, he just like he's on the battlefield that this is where it just happened to be.
Well,
and he just happened to write a paper about it.
yeah, well, here's the thing, actually. I knew a lot of what they were drawing from, like, from Tolkien's time in World War One. That's actually true, and I know because I actually read Tolkien's autobiography in school, so they're actually drawing on a lot of shit that really happened, but at the same time, I'm like, you guys are really, going far on this one, where it's like, look, we want to have a Tolkien episode, we want to have a World War One episode, and we want to have, like, a bunch of Raiders of the Lost Ark Jesus relics, where I'm like, it feels like these are 3 different episodes you're cramming together.
Yeah, it was true. It's true.
Yeah, that's really what it felt. Also, Rip is back on the team now, but he's not leader, and you can tell he's not leader because his coat got shorter. You see, when you're captain, you get the big, long duster coat, but when you're just a guy on the team, it's got to go down to your waist. I just thought that was so funny, where it's like, oh, we should change up Rip's costume. What do we do? Make his jacket a regular jacket, I guess.
Yeah, give me a pair of scissors. I'll cut his coat tail off.
Just cut it off. You only get these again when you're captain. In fact, let's give this to Sarah. Sarah, you can just wear these coattails around with you everywhere.
Yeah, they just staple it onto her white canary costume.
And that's the new thing for everyone who becomes captain of the Wave Rider. You get Rip's coattails. But yeah, I mean, it's funny. This whole episode was, of course, dripping with Lord of the Rings references from when, Heatwave tries to burn the spear only to reveal a hidden message on it. Hey, just like the ring in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
That was fine. To like the bit where, Haywood's like, oh yeah, me and my group of friends, we're a fellowship, really. We're trying to destroy a magical relic. And that's fine. And then it gets insulting by the end where Rip basically gives Aragorn's speech from from the final Lord of the Rings book.
Yeah, it started getting a little bit too on the nose.
Yeah, you did too much, guys. You should have stopped 3 references ago. I like that Legends does this a lot now. It's like, hey, all your favorite artists and politicians and everyone else, they weren't original at all. They were just ripping off the Legends crew. Which, again, it's like, so wait, the Legends say these things around them, so now they've created full-on time loops within themselves for famous works and references? How is that not creating a time aberration?
Well, that's their thing, isn't it? They love like saving the time aberrations, but then they create more than they save.
Oh yes. Now here's the thing about this episode. I actually kind of enjoyed a good chunk of it because it was mostly a Heatwave and Captain Cold centric episode.
And shockingly, they're the best episodes.
They really are. It's almost like, do you even need the Legends? Just spin these 2 off into another thing.
Well, even that, just spin Heatwave off into his own thing.
Yeah, he's kind of
I'd
a...
watch Dominic Purcell drunkenly wander through like Central City,
Oh,
like
yeah.
just accosting women and whatnot.
Just doing stuff, just doing anything. Just like Dominic Purcell tries to make a sandwich. Like, that's an episode. Dominic Purcell has to go to the bank and try not to rob it. These are episodes. You know, it's funny too because obviously this is Wentworth Miller back again. This is Captain Cold. He's been part of the CW universe, but not because he's obviously been off filming other things. But they've kept him enough in people's minds, and this is like his first big "yes, I'm back and maybe here to stay?" question mark.
Yeah, he's not actually a figment of Warry's imagination anymore. He's actually real, and that's because the Legion of Doom went and picked him up from somewhere.
Yeah, just picked up a more evil version of him from another point in time, to where I have to raise my hand and be like, okay, question, if you guys could do that, why did you just stop at Captain Cold? Why didn't you just recruit an entire supervillain army to come and help you?
Oh, not just that. It also is like, okay, so you would have probably have picked him up from after his, from before his time in Legends.
Yeah.
So wouldn't that change stuff in Flash?
Yeah, shouldn't that change all of history around him? Also, this is even funnier because, I actually got crap for this in the comment section in the last episode where, I was talking about Flash and, like, one of the ghosts that Flash had to overcome was Captain Cold. And I said, well, how does he even know Captain Cold sacrificed himself because of his, inspiration? Apparently they tell him that in the crossover. I don't remember that. It must have been one of those throwaway lines. But yeah, I find it funny for him to be here now and be like, oh, we just grabbed another evil version of him from history. And I'm like, well, shit, if you can just do that then.
Yeah, exactly. Why not just go back and why not go back and get Vandal Savage
Yeah.
and like other versions of yourself? Get like an Eobard Thorn from the future or Zoom or something.
Yeah,
Or
can you double up on bad guys if you can just do that?
yeah, exactly. Rules are out the window. It's no rules. So just fucking do whatever you want.
Yeah.
They should not be losing to these people.
No, and losing bad. Although that being said, a lot of great Legends writing kicks in this episode, where it's like, okay, we need to get the blood of Christ from the no man's land in the battlefield. How are we gonna do it? Oh, we don't know, guys. Yeah, because it's not like you can have. It's not like you don't have two people who can fly, one guy who can shrink down so he's basically invisible, and another guy who's bulletproof.
Oh, well, I want to talk about that goddamn Atom this episode. So at the start of this episode, they go to that what is it, that big time ship they blew up.
Vanishing point.
Yeah, and and to steal the last part of the spear, and Ray's job is to keep an eye on Eobard, and you'd think that like, okay, he's gonna like shrink down and like hide somewhere.
Yep.
Except he shrinks down to about the size of like a 12-inch action figure.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just like hovers probably 30 centimeters away from Eobard.
And Super Genius Thawne cannot see him in all this time. He's just so busy checking his email, he just can't see him.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous. And then also like Firestorm remembered he has like godlike powers.
Yeah, to create jelly beans, and I'm like, man, when this would have been really great? The other 100 times you probably should have used this power.
Over the last two, and he says like him and Martin have been working on this. I'm like, where's the proof of that?
Yeah.
There's no like episode that starts with them trying to do something with the power or anything. They hardly ever are together.
I have this power when the plot says I need to have the power. Also, it's funny, too, how easy it is for the Legends to infiltrate British High Command during World War II and Austro-Hungarian High Command during World War One. And did this hit you the same way it hit me? So obviously Rip because he's British and Tolkien because they're British. They obviously try and get the British guys to do a ceasefire. They then send Ray and Stein to the German side, and there's something so weird to see a man named Stein wearing a German army uniform and an iron cross on it. I'm like, you mean to tell me Stein didn't say no and fuck off?
Yes, Stein didn't have like anything to say. He's like, this is kind of fucked up.
Yeah, like that should have been a scene, because they make a joke later where, Rory's like, oh, why is it always me and Nazis? Well, technically they're Huns because it's World War One. They're not Nazis. It's like, whatever, just fight. And another thing where it's like, so there's a whole bit where Vixen is like, oh, well, we shouldn't bring the spear to the battlefield because if we do, it'll be easier for the Legion of Doom to steal it. And they're like, yeah, we shouldn't do that, but let's do it anyway.
Yeah, cut to scene of them running across an open battlefield with a spear.
Doing exactly what they said not to do. And it's like, guys, that's not lampshading when you say it's a stupid idea, but do it anyway. Furthermore to that, I swear there was a bad edit here that they kept, and maybe you saw it too, Matt. When Vixen has the spear, Rip is like, oh, it has more power than any of us could handle. Then she says another thing. Then Rip comes back and says, oh, it's more power than any of us could ever deal with. And I'm like, he just said the same thing twice. Was that two different takes that you just ended up using? That's what
it probably was.
It totally blew me away. I'm like, that's got to be a bad edit. Funnier still, I watched this episode with someone like over my shoulder because I'm away who's never seen the show before. And they were getting furious by the end of it. They were getting as mad as I was at the end of season 1, where it's like, and they lost the blood. What was even the point of anything if they were just going to lose the blood at the end? These guys are terrible. And me, I'm sitting there. It's like, well, this is what happens in the show.
Yeah, this is a weekly thing.
Yeah, this is a weekly thing. They fuck up. They're bad at their jobs. And I'm just sitting there later, like as we were about to go on and record this show. I'm like, have I gotten soft on Legends? Am I actually defending Legends to other people now? And be like, no, man, that's just what happens. They do everything wrong, and then by the end, stuff happens.
You just gotten so used to it and so like jaded by it. You're like, yeah, that happens. We're sorry.
I'm like, man, you think that's bad? Remember back in season 1 when the Time Master said, hey, all that shit you've done up until now, none of it mattered because we were manipulating it every step of the way. Remember that? Remember what a giant cock slap in the face that was?
Yep.
Good times. But Fellowship of the Spear, what did you think of it, Matt?
A classic Legends episode.
It really was. Like, I would say it's no better or worse than anything that's preceded it. It
was worse than last week's episode. Last week's episode was actually kind of decent, only because Stein and Rory were singing.
That's true, saying Tally Me Banana, and we had good stuff with Thawne. Really, the only thing that works about this episode is the Captain Cold Heatwave stuff, which, I mean, I don't think I'm telling tales out of school by saying is the strongest thing the Legends show has going for it.
Mm-hmm, yep.
It really does. Now, I wonder, because obviously they're doing more stuff with Prison Break. Is that already done, or will that affect Purcell and Wentworth Miller? Will that affect them coming forward? Will they have to leave again, or what's going to happen there?
I imagine they're done with it because I think it actually starts airing in April.
Does it really? Huh.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, because I was worried about that. I know there was talk in the sphere there, and we'll probably talk more about this on Comic Multiverse, that they're going to be adding a new character next season.
Oh god, yes, we're going to talk about that.
We'll be talking all about that, but hey, be sure to switch on over to the Cape Joel channel and listen to the Comic Multiverse when that comes up. Until then, we'll be heading on over to our last show of the week, although technically it's 2 shows because it's the big Star Wars Rebels Season 3 finale. We're looking at episodes 21 and 22, 0 hour, and I love that Disney does this for their premieres and finales, that they play the 2-part episodes back to back and make like big movie events out of them.
It's really good. It's really the best way to view these episodes.
It absolutely is, and I mean, this one didn't mess around, man. This one felt like a finale.
It did. It was a really good episode. It was. I was definitely wondering what they were exactly going to do, because we obviously knew it was going to be about Thawne, maybe launching his final solution against the rebels and everything, and that's exactly what it was, and it was awesome.
It absolutely was. And what I dug about this episode is that it really pays off if you've been paying attention to everything this season. There's the shield generators that they got in other episodes. There's the bombers that they had to steal in other episodes. Like, everything they've done is tied back into this.
Yeah, everything they've worked basically a season and a half for is kind of brought up this episode, which is great. I really love when shows do that.
It's really well done. It's connective tissue. It's rewarding you for watching every episode. Callus has an amazing arc this episode in this finale, because obviously he gets outed as Fulcrum finally, and he kind of gets brought up to task, and he becomes like an enemy of the Empire, to where eventually by the end he's just on the Ghost with everybody else.
Yeah, he's, I guess, now part of the Ghost team, which maybe might fill in for Sabine.
Yes, because he's the agent now. Because again, if we're going by SWTOR logic, you got your Jedi Knight, and you got your pilot smuggler, and you got everything else. Now he can be the cool agent. He can do agent tricks.
And he has like a British accent as well.
It's
So
true. He'll be your range DPS. He can be that guy. It's funny too. I really wonder in season 4 when they come back, he'll be like, "Oh, I guess I can't wear my space Nazi uniform anymore now, huh? Can I? Can I borrow some pants? These are the only clothes I have. I only have these really scary uniforms. What are normal people wearing these days?"
yeah, not murdering uniforms.
Also too, can I keep the high fade? Can I keep the military high fade, or do I need to grow a cool beard like the rest of you? Because I'm willing to do it if it'll really make me a member of the team. Also, do I get a bunk on the ship, or do I just have to stay at command base? Can I just hang out with you guys?
He gets to sleep in the Phantom.
Oh, there you go. Okay, you sleep in the Phantom until you're here for 3 years. We all gotta earn our way in, man. You gotta be hazed into the rebels. I love that they put him through that. Actually, that'd be a great stuff for like future seasons where like the crew of the Ghost likes Callus, but no one else trusts him because it's like, dude, he's a fucking former Imperial officer.
I imagine we probably will actually get episodes like that. Like no one will trust him except for the Ghost Crew, which is why he'll probably be part of the Ghost Crew.
Yeah, where it's like, you don't stop being an Imperial officer. It's like I did. Risk my goddamn life. Man, the space battles in this episode absolutely off the hook because we get to see a bunch of the different rebel fleets going head to head with all of Thrawn's ships.
Yeah, this actually ended up being like after the victories the rebels had with getting the fleet together. This is like one of their first major defeat.
Yes, they got messed up in this episode. They were all just trying to run away. And another great thing they brought back the gravity wells, where it's like, oh, so they finally got an in-universe and in-show explanation to why they just can't hyperspace away.
Yeah, they brought back the interdictors, which is really cool. Which is why Ezra had to go and get Sabine.
Yes, who, as we thought, Matt, as we theorized, the Mandalorians basically become the Han Solo in A New Hope. Yeehaw! Coming in to save the day. It's a real love letter to the Mandos too, being like, hey, you don't need a whole army of Mandos. You just need like 5 really good ones, and you can turn the tide of a battle.
Yeah, 5 fighters, and it just turns the tide of the battle.
Yeah, to the good guy side. I thought that was really good. And furthermore, it opens up a lot of great story potential for next season because, the Wren clan is in the middle of a civil war with the Saxton clan for the Mandalorian homeworld. And they're like, look, we would love to give you more fighters, but we got to hold on to the ground we have. And the agreement, basically the unspoken agreement, is, look, we'll help save the Rebel Alliance, but you guys got to come back to Mandalore and help us win our war.
Yeah, and I imagine they probably will, and that'll probably be like one of the big major victories of the rebellion, with them gaining the trust of the Mandalorians.
Another great bit that happened in this episode, Kanan kind of had it out with the Bendu, who the Bendu was basically Kanan and Ezra's Yoda for this season, more or less, just like the wise animal creature.
Yeah, and he kind of fucked shit up this episode.
He really does, because even Kanan and Ezra are like, we don't know what you are, Bendu. You are something very old and very powerful in the Force, but who claims to, no loyalty to the dark or the light side.
Yeah, he's the one in between.
Yeah, which he yells as he creates Force storms.
Yeah, Force storms are back in continuity.
Oh, is that a thing? Is that a thing from continuity, Force storms?
Yeah, you could do them in like KOTOR and everything.
That's
You could like create like storms and lightning and everything.
I guess it makes sense if you can use the Force for everything else. Why can't you use it to manipulate the weather?
Yeah, yeah.
It's a really awesome moment where he's like creating lightning and hurricanes, and he's hitting everybody too, not just the bad guys. He's hitting our heroes, and Thrawn just no fears, like shoot the cloud.
Yeah, I like that. He basically goes like old man Clint Eastwood and get off my lawn.
That's absolutely what he's like. Oh, I'm pissed off at all of you, Rebel, Imperial, get off my planet.
Yeah, and I like when he showed up, like Thrawn actually didn't know what to do. He's like, "What the
No.
fuck is this?"
A guy who's been in control and never surprised all season long is actively surprised, is actively like, what the fuck is that?
Thrawn these episodes was really good. I liked his fight with Callus
Yes.
when Callus was found out and everything. I thought that was a really cool fight.
Which they fight in the building that Ezra was in the very first
Yeah,
episode of Rebels, his little hidey hole.
yeah, on top of that tower.
See, I really thought that Callus wasn't going to make it out of this episode. When he lost that fight, I'm like, oh, geez, friggin' Thrawn's going to just throw him over the side.
I thought that as well. Like, oh, he's gonna end up dying, and his like last thing was gonna be getting that message out
Yeah, yeah.
to the rebellion and everything. But I'm glad he didn't die. He's a really cool
Me
character.
too. I'm interested to see where he's going. And speaking of death, this was an episode that really did make you feel like anyone could die at any moment.
Oh yeah, and people did die.
They really did. It's funny because there was a whole moment in my head where I'm like, oh, which older male mentor will die, and will that really affect Ezra? Because Kanan's like, I'm sorry, Ezra, I couldn't train you right. I was only half trained myself, but I think you're a master now, and you're my friend, and you're my son, and my brother, and everything. I'm like, oh fuck, Kanan's not making it back.
Yeah, Thrawn's gonna shoot him.
Yeah, he did make it back to my great surprise. And then even later, Zeb is talking to Rex and he's like, hey, is it worth it joining the rebellion? How do you feel? And he's like, oh, I got a couple more fights left in me and everything. I'm like, oh, fuck, Rex is going to die.
Yeah, and then Sato ends up dying.
Yeah, man, and he gets a cool, badass, heroic military death, like the captain who's like, no, I will go down with my ship. I will sacrifice myself so help can get here. And even just the two no-name soldier guys were like, no, captain, we'll stay with you.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder as well, like if in the new season his son is gonna come back.
That's right. We saw him. You got to imagine that's an episode there. He might, because he was shown to be kind of brash and kind of impulsive and everything. He might want revenge for what happened to his dad.
Yeah, exactly. Revenge maybe against the rebels.
Ooh, yeah. Wouldn't that be something if he ends up turning to the Empire side because he hates Ezra and it's like, oh, my dad killed himself to save you.
Yeah.
That would be cool, man. That would be really, really cool. There was just a lot of really awesome, really happening stuff in this. Like, it's funny for a show that started so small with just the team of rebels themselves to now being like big, huge military campaigns and like everything happening in like first waves and second waves.
Yeah, it's definitely grown, like especially when you compare like the first season, which was like 99% set on Lothal. Now we're visiting like Mandalore and Geonosis and all these different planets. At the end of this episode, they head off to the Yavin 4.
Yes, that's right. The rebel base that we all know, and I can only assume season 4 will take place there.
Oh yeah, definitely, because they don't have a base now. Yavin 4 seems to be the base they've set up. So yeah, I imagine it'll be taking place there.
And it's sad to lose Chopper Base too, because Chopper Base really did feel like a character. You saw them set it up at the beginning of the season, them work to build it up and everything, and then they lose it.
Yeah.
It's sad, that place felt like a character. Now, one thing that didn't happen that I thought was going to happen, I thought those, like, nightmare spiders were going to play a part in the final battle.
Yeah, like maybe the Bendu using them to defeat the Imperials or whatnot, or something.
I really thought that was Kanan's ace in the hole, where he'd be like, oh, chase me, Thrawn, chase me, and then like, he leads him and all the other guys into the spider chambers. Then, oh, you fear, and then the spiders come and get them.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. And the one thing I'm glad they didn't do is kill off Thrawn.
Yeah,
because I know a lot of people going into this were like, oh, they're going to kill off Thrawn because they need someone else for season 4, and yeah, I'm glad that he's probably going to be the bad guy in season 4 now. Like in this season, it was kind of like a secondary bad guy.
Yeah.
Whereas I think in maybe season 4 he'll be the main threat.
Yeah, like that's the thing, because I mean, honestly, after Thrawn, I mean, how do you top Thrawn really as a villain? I don't think you can. I think you got to ride with him until the inevitable conclusion of the show.
Yeah, well, the only way you'd be able to top him is if you brought back Vader, and I don't think they'll be doing that.
No, like we already had our taste of Vader, and that was really awesome, but he had a great end for his thing. you can't do any more Inquisitors because now you're just like, well, there weren't really Inquisitors around this time, or at least none as cool as the ones you had seen before. You can't, I mean, unless they straight up do the Emperor, and I doubt they would do the Emperor, there's really no topping Thrawn.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm actually really surprised we haven't like seen the Emperor like somewhere in the show, like a glimpse of him or something.
Well, we saw him in the re-edited episode 1 of the episode of the first season where he's talking to Vader at the end.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But then
right,
again, I
yeah.
think we just hear him. I don't think we see him.
I honestly can't remember.
You know what? Hey, that would be some fodder for season 4 right there. Like, you know, maybe Thrawn gets called into the Emperor's office and being like, "You failed, Thrawn."
That actually really cool, and like, because in the original expanded universe, he gets sent off to like the unknown regions, and he doesn't come back until after the Empire has been destroyed. So it'd be like a really cool, like maybe at the end of that season, like he fails again, but the Empire doesn't want to kill him because he's too valuable.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll keep.
So
that
they
canon.
go off into the unknown regions and don't come back or something until certain times.
You know, like Thrawn is getting so interesting now. I would love to see an episode from his point of view where it's like, you know, the Empire is pretty alien hating, and I'm like the only alien, but they only love me because I'm exceptional. But now I'm failing, and now all that hatred and xenophobia is getting thrown at me again.
Mm-hmm.
That would be interesting. I'd kind of like to see that, because much like Callus, then you start actually feeling a little sympathetic for Thrawn, and you're like, oh man, that sucks for you. Maybe you're on the wrong team.
Yeah, that'd definitely be a really cool episode. Or like he comes in contact with someone that maybe is his boss that doesn't treat him right because he is an alien.
I'd like that. Heck, what's his race again? The Chiss or the Chice or how do
Yeah, the Chiss.
the Chiss. What are they doing at this point? I'd love to hang out on their home world. Wouldn't that be something where it's like, okay, Thrawn, your next mission, conquer your home world or something like that?
That'd be pretty cool.
That would be interesting. I'd like that. So yeah, I mean, by and large, 0 Hour was a really cool two-parter filled with lots of cool things.
It was. The sad thing is that the season's ended now, so now we've got to wait till season 4, which probably won't be in maybe until like September this year or something.
Which, I mean, you know, as far as animated shows, they've actually cranked Rebels out at a pretty good pace. There's been no big, long hiatus for this season.
Yeah, it's definitely a show that's got a timetable and everything. And I guess because Star Wars, it's not as though they're like some indie company who can only put out a couple episodes here and there.
Not only that, but especially this season too, there was huge crossovers and cross promotions with Rogue One and everything.
Yeah, and I imagine even next season we'll probably get even more.
Yeah, so I mean they definitely know what's worth in this show, and I mean seriously, this might be like one of the only few handfuls of really good action animated shows on TV right now, so I'm glad to see it's getting all this love and admiration because it's really deserved.
Yeah, and one of the few cartoons that's actually a full-length cartoon and not like some 5-minute short.
Yes, like it's actually a full 22 minutes with a beginning, middle, and end and all that other stuff. Not to say there's anything wrong with all the like 10-minute Cartoon Network shows, but they're getting way too common.
Mm-hmm.
Like even Justice League Action, which we love, is also just like little 10-minute segments.
Yep.
When's that show coming back, by the way? Do we know?
No idea, no.
That was hard because like a bunch of episodes got leaked in that show and we saw them before we were supposed to.
And it was really weird how they were like bringing them out as well, because they'd like, I don't know, like show them in like chunks.
Yes.
And then some episodes were just like one episode, but then they'd show like in the next week like 3 episodes in a chunk or something. It was really weird.
Classic Cartoon Network where it's like, oh, it's not Teen Titans Go, we don't know what to do with it. Just put more Teen Titans Go on, it'll be fine. It's sad to see this show go too now, because that's one less show for us to talk about every week.
Yeah, we'll have to find something else. We'll have to bring back maybe Dragon Ball Z or something.
Yeah, to help fill the void. I know Archer's coming back soon.
Ooh.
We'll definitely have to get in there and talk about Archer. Have you seen what they're doing this season for Archer?
I haven't, no.
Well, so remember, again, hey, spoilers for Archer, everyone, now that we're just talking about this to end off the show. He was quote-unquote killed, or seemingly killed.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
Now he seems to be in some sort of weird dream coma wherein they're all still detectives in LA, but it's 1940 now.
Ah, that's awesome.
That is, I'm like, that's a good touch. Good on Archer for reinventing itself every season.
Yeah, I like that what they started doing like with that Miami season,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then we had like the detectives one and
Then
everything.
they went back to being spies for a bit. I like that, they're not afraid to just kind of reinvent the wheel every season. They know that the characters and the comedy is so funny and so good that they can move some stuff around and still have it
Hmm.
work.
Yeah,
So,
exactly, exactly.
so yeah, there you go, everyone. There's Cape TV for another week. Oh, also, too, Matt, I guess you and I will probably have to finish Legion and talk about that when it's all done.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Have to get back on into Legion. Apparently, some crazy shit happened since we stopped, since we started
Yeah,
waiting.
yeah. Apparently, it's like kind of like picked up like, hey, we're an X-Men show now.
God damn it. Well, shit, we waited this long. I guess we gotta wait until it's all done and talk about it at once. If we gotta do a goddamn Legion special, Matt, we'll do a friggin' Legion special, is what we'll have to do. So, yeah, there you go, everyone. There's a new episode of Cape TV for you. We hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you want to download the show and carry it around with you everywhere you go, you can find that over on the Comic Multiverse SoundCloud page. You can also find my work over at Cape Joel. You can also find Matt Works over at...
Fortress of Solitude.
Be sure to do that. Be sure to follow us on the Twitters and the social media. Just one social media. There's just one social media, Matt. It's not medias. It's just one. Be sure to follow us there, everyone, to keep up to date on when the new episodes of this show are coming out. As always, I like to ask you down in the comment section of the video, what was your favorite thing you saw this week, and what are you hoping to see next week? Also, too, we didn't get a chance to see the new Samurai Jack yet because that airs while we do this, so we'll be sure to talk about episode 3 next week.
Yeah, well, I think we're probably gonna have to do that every week now.
Yeah, because that's the way it goes. Frickin' Samurai Jack. Damn your good time slot that you have that we do when we record this show. Dang
Goddamn primetime cartoon TV.
because it's worth it and because it's great. Bye-bye, everyone.
So yeah.